The new Dior Capture Serum, the Oxy or OX-C Treatmentless Serum, essentially Dior's latest skincare release. It replaces what used to be the Capture Total Serum in the pink bottle. Now it looks like this instead, kind of similar but more metallic silver instead of the light pink that was the signature of the previous collection for many years. I'm not sure why they've changed the look, it just seems like Dior is going into this metallic silver as a theme. Maybe it's to be a little bit more unisex, I'm not sure. Dior have recently done quite a lot of work in expanding their core skincare collection, and I actually think they're on a really good road with this. To me, it looks like a lot of the launches coming out of Dior these days just have a lot more vision, a lot more focus, and more purpose. Like they've even brought out a retinol product, which I just never would have expected from a brand like Dior. They have always been known to embrace essentially floral science, so the power of plant extracts. But it's nice to see them move into more of this direction where they still have their floral sciences, but they're embracing it with more of a dermatological vision as well. It's like there's the whimsical ingredients mixed with the more functional things too. I had used the previous Capture Total Serum, which I quite enjoyed. I think Dior is always good with textures and sensorial properties. It's always had a nice blend of ingredients with skin smoothing and skin plumping effect. I just never saw it as a standout thing that I needed to use. It was almost like a glorified niacinamide serum. With this new launch, they're elevating the anti-aging claims exponentially. It's on a different level of conversation now. And I've definitely never seen them focus so much on this concept of biological skin aging, which ties into this whole skincare trend of longevity. Luxury brands are notoriously secretive, and it has actually been quite difficult for me to unravel the kind of concept behind this serum. They relay some information as to the purpose and what the design and what the serum is targeting, but I always like to look into the inky and see if I can make sense of how they're arriving at their claims. And this time around, it's been a little bit more challenging, which is actually part of the reason I'm filming a dedicated video for this product, because I'm hoping by opening up some of the conversation and expanding on some of the claims that maybe some of you will be able to help me understand some of the Dior phrasing, technology, and that kind of thing, and that way we can learn together. The serum sounds super interesting to me. I bought it pretty much as soon as it came out, and some of the technologies they're using and the combination of ingredients, it's just cool. I love it when luxury brands step into this field and they're trying to do something a little bit more interesting. So what is it? That's probably a good place to start. In simplified terms, the Dior OX-C serum or Oxy serum is a skin regenerating and collagen boosting serum, and it focuses on oxygen transport in the skin. And I think it's this oxygen story within the serum that makes it quite unique. We've seen this come up a little bit in some skincare brands here and there, but I don't think I've ever seen it in a luxury brand. And I think this idea of oxygen transport rather than actually applying a form of oxygen in some way is quite unique and interesting. As I mentioned, the serum is called OXC or Oxy. Initially, I thought the C stood for vitamin C, but the OX actually stands for oxygen and the C stands for collagen. So the title in itself kind of informs what the goal of the serum is. Dior have introduced a bunch of dermatologists and other experts within this launch just to help relay some of the messaging and the intention of the product. Essentially, they have a dermatologist explaining how the role of oxygen in the skin helps to improve the production of ATP, which is a form of energy in the skin designed to regenerate and boost proteins. And as we know, collagen is a protein, so by extension, they're targeting collagen production or strengthening collagen production. In 2023, Dior actually formed the International Reverse Aging Scientific Advisory Board. Yes, that's a real name and a real thing. It's filled with dermatologists and specialists connected to a bunch of universities and research facilities, alongside LVMH's existing research capacity. I think they said they have over 600 researchers on staff, which, by the way, in case you didn't know, LVMH is Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy, and Dior is part of this luxury conglomerate. So good for them for having access to such a large conglomerate of research potential. This kind of thing I'm a bit unsure of. Like, lots of brands these days have advisory boards. I mostly think it's a vanity exercise, often pointless. It's just a way for a brand to market that they have these professionals on staff. I assume many of them are just getting paid to be like the face, or just for Dior to be able to use their title in some marketing and promotion. I highly doubt any of them have any active participation in the formulation or guidance of the product. They could be throwing in some, I don't know, some opinions on textures and maybe some of the language that's being used and so on, but I honestly think these advisory boards are lame. Good for the doctors if they're on there, like that's quite prestigious. I mean, great getting a check from LVMH to not do much, awesome. But I think just from a consumer facing thing, it's just a way to increase a authority bias in the presentation of the product that I don't think is actually relevant. But having said that, and my little rant is basically just assumption, I don't know how much involvement these doctors actually have. So let's give Dior the benefit of the doubt. I believe this is the first key skincare product launch since the advisory board was like brought together. So potentially, and I don't know if it's just coincidence that this product sounds interesting after the board was created, or if Dior was already on this path without them. But in any case, let's run with it and see what Dior skincare looks like moving forward. Maybe it will have a little bit more of a clinical basis to it. In any case, whether the advisory board matters, this product, this serum, I think, is definitely a worthwhile upgrade. Now, to explain this concept of oxygen a little bit more, Dior says that a lack of oxygen leads to an accumulation of senescent cells, and senescent cells, also known as zombie cells, end up having a negative effect on the skin. Overall, this leads to accelerated tissue aging. But I do like the fact that they've also addressed this idea that oxygen can be bad for skin as well. So Dior has spoken about how too much oxygen or poorly controlled oxygen can actually be a bad thing, and I think that's related to the whole reactive oxygen species phenomenon, which is why we use antioxidants in the first place. And this is why Dior has gone down this road of optimizing oxygen transfer or transport in the skin, rather than supplying the skin like directly with topical oxygen, which I think maybe some products do. So this new OXE or Oxy serum from Dior, I probably should have looked up the pronunciation before filming, so I'm sorry about that, has been shown to stimulate natural killer cells, and this in turn facilitates the removal of senescent cells, so the things that we don't necessarily want in our skin. Now, beyond these claims about oxygen transport and senescent cells and so on, really what caught my attention with this serum is the focus on a delivery system. Dior are using liposomal encapsulation and what they call a patent pending double vectorization system. Big words. These two things together boost the ingredient absorption but also diffuse the absorption across 8 hours. Dior says that this new delivery system actually improves penetration by 33%. I filmed a video recently discussing the Ordery's new multi-active delivery essence, so I wonder if this is developing into a bit of a trend with brands where maybe they're focusing a bit less on ingredients themselves and embracing this story of delivery. That's been a little bit of an untapped like marketing avenue. And without sounding like a blazing weirdo, whenever brands discuss delivery systems, it does make me like really happy. And it's just always good for brands to actually confirm that they care about these things, and they're just not throwing ingredients in, not caring about how they actually land in the skin. In case you aren't aware, Dior actually has a standing relationship with Amore Pacific, which is one of K-Beauty's biggest innovators. I'm unclear on exactly how connected these two brands are, but Dior's recent retinol serum, for example, is a K-Beauty technology. Allegedly, I think. I'm not sure they confirmed that anywhere, but it looks exactly like what Opé makes. So I'm just mentioning that because it wouldn't surprise me if this new delivery system technology of diffusion actually comes from the K-Beauty world. And I know sometimes people love to hate on luxury brands, but honestly, sometimes they're out here doing the most, and they often rival or surpass professional brands. In terms of how the new serum compares to the old one, there is a lot of overlap in the ingredients, and the textures are quite similar, so if you liked the feeling of the old one, it's a pretty similar experience. The core of these products seem to be very similar. but with this update focusing on oxygen in the skin, they've added like a new dipeptide and this whole story around the updated delivery system. It has certainly piqued my interest much more. The way I have my routine structured now is that I have one more actives day where I use acids and retinoids, for example, and then I have kind of one rest day where I focus more on gentler, some lighter peptides product. I've actually decided to integrate this Dior serum on my actives day in the morning, and it's working back really well for me so far. I've only been using it for a few weeks, so I don't have like an abundance to report in terms of skin effect, but just that it's absolutely slotted into my routine really easily. I love the texture, I love the skin feel, and I feel like I'm always looking for things that help with redness and keep my skin calm, and so far this serum has worked out great for that. So let's move on to the actual ingredients. For the oxygen component of this serum, Dior touts that they're using plant-derived biopolymers, and these are supposed to facilitate the transfer of oxygen in the skin. I have actually spent a really long time, like honestly hours, trying to decipher the inky to figure out what Dior means by these biopolymers. They have added a new like plant ingredient that I'll throw up on screen. This ingredient is known to have oxygenating properties, and it wasn't featured in the previous version, so it makes me think this ingredient as a minimum is related to this oxygen transport. It's just I haven't been able to find how this ingredient by itself would be considered a biopolymer. So that's the part that's confusing me. So I don't know if this ingredient in and of itself is what is leading to Dior's claims, or if it's part of some sort of complex of ingredients that together form a polymer. I just was not able to decipher it. Maybe I needed to spend more time, but because I don't have a chemistry background, it was like literally looking up every ingredient, trying to see how they connect together, and I just wasn't able to find the link properly. So this is where I hope that maybe if you have more information, I'd love to hear from you, because I really, really want to solve the question of like what Dior is claiming or conveying as being responsible for this oxygen story. The serum does include several other additional ingredients that are involved or potentially help boost ATP production. So that's related to energy in the skin, leading to collagen support. This includes adenosine, even niacinamide, and they also use a red algae extract. So it could be like these ingredients in combination with that oxygen plant ingredient with some of the film formers in this product that all together form the oxygenating complex. Dior have historically used a lily extract in a lot of the Capture series products, and the lily extract appears in this serum too. Dior says that the lily extract they're using helps with cell anchoring, essentially leading to more resilient skin. Now, probably more excitingly for me, and one addition that I'm really happy to see that was not in the previous version, is that they've added a new dipeptide, which I'll throw up the name on screen. This has a reputation of protecting skin cells from glycation, so like the downsides of sugar, basically. But the other good thing is that this peptide also sits in like a skin soothing world, so it's supposed to have really good anti-irritation properties. So the fact that this serum contains the dipeptide, the lily extract, which is quite signature of Dior, plus this new oxygenating system with the enhanced delivery, that's pretty cool. Like I think that's a lot of cool stuff going on, and one of the more like purposeful launches from luxury brands in a while. And of course, beyond the like glossy ingredients, the serum does still contain glycerin, squalane, betaine, and I mentioned niacinamide already, so there are lots of classics involved. If you followed me, especially on Instagram, for a while, you will know that as my skincare routine develops, I'm regularly looking for things that have a little bit of an anti-aging edge but also embrace skin soothing. So that's part of the reason I really love the Dew Skin Deliverance as an example of one of my all-time favorite serums. And this new launch from Dior is now sitting right up there. So I can see this becoming a favorite actually, just like if I were designing a product. These are very much the types of things that I would be looking for to integrate. Plus, I think Dior have nailed the sensoriality. It's beautiful apply, feels really silky, hydrating and moisturizing. It's just a very creamy texture that almost like hugs the skin. And it does feel a tad richer than some other skin serums because it leans, a little bit more like a milky emulsion, but it's still light enough to where I can layer and it doesn't feel too heavy and it doesn't make my skin oily or greasy over the day. I do like to use this as like the last serum, so if I'm layering, I'm often using like an essence, a water-based serum, and then I would finish off with something like this, and my skin still is comfortable enough where moisturizer and sunscreen on top still goes completely fine. Now, before I close out this video, there is a little bit of a catch, and it's something I like to discuss with luxury products, especially because we're looking at price points that are on the high end. So a little bit of a reality check is always worth doing. Nearly everything that I could find out about this serum is based on in vitro testing, so essentially cells, meaning like not directly on the skin. And this is really how most of the skincare operates. It's a lot easier to get claims and substantiation of ingredient efficacy if they're not testing it actually on people versus other things over a period of time. Because Dior is such a large beauty brand backed by LVMH, a huge conglomerate, if they wanted to, they definitely could have tested this serum itself on skin to garner some results and see if they could, I guess, replicate what the ingredient suppliers or the ingredient information was saying in isolation. But there's a catch to them doing that as well. So even if they did test this formula on actual skin, really the claims that Dior are making, we're talking about cellular activity. So if they could prove that this serum works exactly how they say, it would probably fall into drug territory, and then they wouldn't be able to really market it. So a lot of the things that I've been talking about in this video are things that Dior aren't making grand claims about, like on the packaging or on the website. It was kind of hidden in articles and in like random links and things through the website that I had to search through. So yeah, there's only so much cosmetic brands can prove or publicly convey. For all we know, Dior could have an abundance of evidence showing that this serum is like the best thing ever, but we would just never know about it because they would not really be able to sell it. So where does this confusing territory leave us? You know, I would say luxury skincare as a whole is always considered a booster or an add-on to an already robust existing skincare routine. So like if, for example, you're using tretinoin or differin, you've got a niacinamide serum, you're cleansing well, you're wearing sunscreen, of course, those things are always going to be the key pillars of a skincare brand. But if you're somebody that likes investing in your skin, you like sensorial properties, you like the potential of boosted effects, then I think this is a really well-designed serum. It still includes a lot of the classic skincare ingredients that you'd want, plus some of these extra novel things that make the skincare industry more exciting. So it's hard to sit here and say this serum would definitely have, you know, more robust performance than other things, and whether something like this could even like literally help with collagen production or help boost collagen. A lot of these questions are really still unknown. I wouldn't feel a level of FOMO, and again, this is something I do repeat often with luxury brands because I think I probably do feature luxury products on my channel, on my Instagram, more than many other creators. Part of that is just for point of difference because there's so many people covering everything else, and part of it is just I'm getting older, I'm in my late 30s now, investing a little bit more in skincare, enjoying skincare as like a application, as a ritual. Those things are important to me. And because I'm not spending money on treatments, so I hardly ever get facials, I don't get injectables or lasers or anything. So having these more novel technologies draw me in that may not be applicable to your needs. I hope this video, which has turned out to be way longer than I thought, clarifies the serum a little bit. As I said, I'm not sure that I was able to explain the mechanism of action that well, so I would love to hear from you if you have anything to add. Thank you for watching. Do let me know if you have any questions. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.